A number of people have already analyzed the birth chart for this particular native, so I don't want to repeat that analysis. I want to concentrate directly on what is the topic for this particular presentation. That is the ability for this particular native to re-enter the industry somewhere in 2022, end of 2021 or beginning of 2022. So the very first thing that I did, as usual, is to look at the Vimsottari dasa system. What's the Mahadasa and what are the Antardasas in the year 2021, 22, 23, 24. Those are the next 3 years. Venus Mahadasa started in 2015 September and it will go for 20 years. So from 2015 all the way till the beginning of 2020, we have Venus Mahadasa, Venus Antardasa and Sun Antardasa. So in January 2020, it's the Moon Antardasa that began for this particular native, and it lasts for 1 year 9 months approximately until September 2021. And then comes the most important is the Mars Antardasa. The Mars Antardasa is the one that starts in 2021 and goes till November 2022. And if I remember correctly, that's the time when his next movie is Pathan. Yeah, Pathan is the movie name, I think, is the one that is scheduled to get released. So I will be concentrating more on the Moon Antardasa and Mars Antardasa right now. The first thing that I look here is what is the Venus. Venus is the 3rd house lord and the 10th house lord from Rashi Lagna. So the 10th house lord residing in the 5th house is okay. 5th house is entertainment. So that when the 10th house lord is residing in the 5th house, that tells you that the native's career will be something that's directly related to arts and entertainment, which we can clearly see here. And the next thing is, what's the problem with, is there any issue with Venus? The thing is here, what I see is the 5th house lord is Jupiter, who is residing in the Labhasthanamo, is having a direct aspect on the 5th house. So his own house where the 10th house lord is residing. That's another reason why the native's career was successful, and he was able to make financially become more wealthy, because the 5th house lord is residing in the 11th house and having a direct aspect on the 5th house where the 10th house lord is residing. That's the most important thing here. And then comes, as usual, from Moon. What is the status of Venus, Chandra Lagna, from Chandra Lagna, because that's where the mind goes. The destiny is clear. We are seeing it right now, that what is the native's destiny. And then from Moon, if you look at it, Venus is the 9th house lord, Bhagyasthanadipati, and residing in the 11th house, Labhasthanamo. So whether you look from Chandra Lagna or whether you look from the Rashi Lagna, that means the native's mind and the native's destiny, they both are matching, and that's another reason why the native was successful. One thing we have to keep in mind is that when the destiny matches with the whatever the native person wants to become and whatever the destiny has defined, if they both match, then the chances are extremely high to be successful in whether it is a career or whatever it is. Now let's go and look at Moon. What is the Moon? Moon is the from Rashi Lagna, Moon is the 12th house lord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From Chandra Lagna, it is the 6th house lord. So this is the way the issue is. And if you look at it, Natal Moon has cojoined with Natal Saturn permanently. So that, and they both are directly having a direct aspect on the 1st house, that's the Lagna, first self. So when Moon is cojoined with a malefic Saturn, the impact will be visible, and that impact will be on self, that is for the particular natives, whatever, whether it is career, health or not, whatever it is, we are not going to look at it that at this point, and the impact will be clearly visible. And whatever the house that Moon owns, the impact, that will be the source for the impact. In clear words, what I want to say here is Moon is the 6th house lord. 6th house is Rogasthanamo. 6th house deals with debts, illnesses and employment conditions. Since Moon has co-joined with a malefic Saturn, so there will be an impact on deaths, illnesses and employment conditions, and that too for the NATO per self. No, it's not that the impact is on for someone else and which indirectly helps have an impact on the NATO. No, this is directly going to have an impact on the NATO itself. And here, with that being said, Moon from Chandra Lagna, Moon Saturn is the first house lord. Looking at the seventh house, seventh house is businesses, and apart from Kalatrasthanam, seventh house also deals with businesses and short-term travels, for short-term foreign travels. And Saturn is also the 12th house lord. Look here, from Rashi Lagna, Moon is the 12th house lord. From Chandra Lagna, Saturn is the 12th house lord, and they both are co-joined. And that means the 12th house is the major impact for this particular NATO during the Moon Antardasa. That means from January 2020 till September 2021, the 12th house is the major impact. 12th house is unexpected expenditures, hospitalization. When you look at, since Moon owns the 6th house, when you look at debts, when you look at debts from the 6th house, then from the 12th house it will be unexpected expenditures. When you look at illnesses from the 6th house, then from the 12th house it will be hospitalizations. When you look at employment conditions from the 6th house, the 12th house will be foreign settlement. And here for this particular NATO, that's not going to happen. Fine. Then another thing is Saturn. Well, in the Moon, during the Moon Antardasa, Saturn, since it has a direct impact on the Moon or the mind of the Moon, we have to look at what are the transit planets, especially Transit Saturn, because of the natal Saturn co-joining the natal Moon. Especially we have to look at the Transit Saturn and see how that particular Transit Saturn is where is it residing and how is it behaving with respect to Moon. So once we complete 2021 September, comes the most important is the Mars Antardasa. Mars is in the 4th house from Rashi Lagna. Fortunately, it is in its own house. That's a very advantage part for it. And from Rashi Lagna, Mars is also the 9th house lord, Bhagyasthanadipati. So the 4th house Sukhasthanadipati and Bhagyasthanadipati is Mars, residing in his own house. And the only drawback here you see is Mars is co-joined with the 2nd house lord Mercury, which is communications. I'll tell you why. And then Mercury is also the 11th house lord. So Labhasthanadipati and Dhanasthanadipati is Mercury. Mercury is now co-joined with the Bhagyasthanadipati. This is the primary reason, one of the, actually say that the primary reason for this particular native to become so wealthy in his life. And then comes the question is, what was the reason for that particular native to acquire wealth only through career? Because from Chandra Lagna, if you look at it from Chandra Lagna, Mars is the 10th house lord and is residing in the 10th house only. That's the most beautiful part of it. And also from Chandra Lagna, Mars is the 8th house lord Mercury, co-joined with Mercury, and also Mars co-joined with the 4th, 1, 2, 3, 5th house lord Mercury. Again, look at it. The relationship between 5th house lord and the 11th house lord is Jupiter and Venus. Venus is the 10th house lord residing in the 5th house, having a direct aspect owned by Jupiter, and Jupiter is residing in the 11th house, having a direct aspect on the 5th house. This is from destiny. From Chandra Lagna, Mars is the 10th house lord residing in the 10th house, co-joined with the 5th house lord Mercury. Wow. And then the next thing that you have to see here is in the Mars, during the Mars Antardasa, what could happen professionally. The Mars Antardasa under the Venus Pratyantar, Venus Mahadasa and Mars Antardasa professionally would be like moderate. I should say it as moderate. The reason why I said it is moderate is because even though the dasa system and the Antardasa systems are very cooperative, it's the transit planets that brings ups and downs. That's the first reason. Second reason why I said it is moderate is because from destiny, from Rashi Lagna, Rahu is in the 10th house. Anytime, wherever Rahu resides, in whichever house the Rahu resides, he brings ups and downs in that particular bhava of that house. Since the Rahu here is in the 10th house, which is career, he is going to bring ups and downs. See, I'm sure you people have noticed it, that he has reached to the top of his profession somewhere in 2000, all the way from 2012 or 13, and suddenly there's a drop in his career. All the movies that he had acted started not making enough money, and there were a point where I'm sure he might have gone to a point where he was not able to get the break-even point. The money he invested to make the movie and the money that was collected weren't even same. That means he couldn't reach the break-even point. So thus Rahu has played a vital role there, bringing the Netu all the way down. And now we have to see what is Rahu going to do once in 2021, from 2021 September onwards. And another thing is, the reason why I said it's 2021 September onwards is because Natal Rahu's direct aspect is on the 10th house from Chandra Lagna, and that's where the 10th house Lord Mars is residing, and that's what the Antardasa is going to start in 2021 September. So from 2021 September all the way till 2022 November, there is, what I read it is that there will be at least one movie that is going to be released. I don't know whether he was the financier for that movie or not, but he is an actor, hero in that movie. So the question comes is, how will that movie behave, make his career? Will that movie bring him back to the greatness that he had once upon a time during the 1999, 94, 95, when Badsha was released, Bazigar was released, and then what's the other movie, DDLJ, Veer Zara, when all those movies came, the way he was on the top in the Bollywood, will he become the Badsha of Bollywood one more time during this period? That means especially between 2021 September and 2022 November. And here Mars is the one that will decide it. But as I said earlier, remember Natal Rahu is there looking at the Mars in the 10th house. So along with Transit Saturn, we have to keep an eye on Natal Transit Rahu also, to see when the natal planets are trying to do something, are the transit planets cooperating the natal planets or not. After going through the Mars Pratyantar dasa, let me go and look at the next Pratyantar dasa. So in Venus Mahadasa, Mars Antardasa, the next Pratyantar dasa is Rahu Pratyantar dasa, which starts on 2nd of October 2021, and it's going to go all the way till December 4th of 2021. That means approximately 2 months. We should take plus or minus 2 months. So now what's important here is, how is this Rahu Pratyantar dasa going to be for this particular Netu? Remember, this particular Netu is going through the SadeShani, and the Transit Rahu and the Natal Rahu, they both are cojoined in the 10th house from Rashi Lagna and the 4th house from Chandra Lagna. And that particular house Lord is Venus, and whose Mahadasa is running. This is the very important thing that we have to look at it here. And the next important thing is, the Antardasa for this particular, during this Mahadasa, is the Mars Antardasa, and Mars is the 9th house Lord from Rashi Lagna. And if you look at it, Mars is again the 10th house Lord from Chandra Lagna and residing in the 10th house in his own house. But Natal Mars is getting a direct aspect from Transit Rahu and Natal Rahu. So with Venus Mahadasa and Mars Antardasa, just by looking at the transit planets impact, one thing is for sure is that starting 2021 September all the way till 2022 November, the Netu will be having a lot of challenges with respect to his career, for that is major challenges, and some sort of a mental distress or some sort of a mental agony with respect to home life environment and career because from moon, Venus is the 4th house lord, and again from moon, Mars is the 10th house lord, and the 10th house lord is staying in his own house and getting aspected with this transit and natal Rahus. So when it comes to the Rahu Pratyantara dasa, what you can see is that Rahu Pratyantara dasa started somewhere on October 2nd, and it's going to go through December 4th. So let's go and see what exactly happened as soon as the Rahu Pratyantara dasa started. Rahu's Pratyantara dasa started on October 2nd, 2021. Just this is November 17th, so almost like one month, 15 days ago it started. And the very first thing, as soon as Rahu's Pratyantara dasa started, the very first thing that the Netu has noticed is a disturbance in his home life environment and an impact on his career. The event that has happened was on 2nd October, Shah Rukh Khan's son was arrested and he was released on 28th October. This is according to Times news media. So now if you look at it, on 2nd October, what exactly was going on? Transit Saturn and Transit Jupiter, they both are co-joined in the 12th house from natal moon. Remember, Shah Rukh Khan, the Netu, is going through the SadeShani, the first phase of SadeShani, which started in December 2019, and he has seen a lot of ups and downs in his career in the whole year of 2020 and a little bit in 2021. And in October 2021, when Rahu Pratyantara dasa started, the very first thing he saw is a disturbance in his home life environment, and that has clearly indicates that this Rahu Pratyantara dasa, which is going to be all the way till December of 2021, there will be, and because of this his son getting arrested, there were some sort of a challenges in his career also. So this particular challenges that he is facing and this mental agony, mental distress that he is going through with respect to home life environment will be continued all the way till 4th of December 2021. Now that the moon Antardasa and the Mars Antardasa during the Venus Mahadasa completes by 2022 November, then the most important thing that we need to look at is what is the next Antardasa, which is Rahu here. The reason why I want to emphasize here is because when Rahu Antardasa starts, that is in 2022 November, Transit Saturn enters Aquarius in January 2023. Remember, right now, since December of 2019 or January 2020 onwards, to be honest, January 2020 onwards, the Netu is going through the SadeShani. 7.5 years of SadeShani. The first part will be completed by January of 2023 when Transit Saturn enters Aquarius, and that is the second part, which is the most crucial part, because Transit Saturn touches natal moon for any person who is going through the SadeShani, and for this person it is extremely crucial because Transit Saturn and natal Rahu, they both are touching natal moon. That's the reason why I was looking at the Rahu Antardasa. Remember, Rahu is from destiny, from Rashi Lagna, Rahu is in the 10th house. From Chandra Lagna, Rahu is looking at the 10th house. Either of the way, which of the Lagna you take it, Rahu is the prime player here, along with natal and transit Saturns. So when Rahu period starts in 2022 November all the way till 2023 April, Rahu Antardasa, Rahu Pratyantara, that during that time the transit Saturn will be still in Capricorn, that is the 12th house from natal moon, and residing in the 12th house from natal moon and going through the SadeShani period indicates that the Netu will incur unexpected expenditures. This is right, yes, unexpected expenditures, and that unexpected expenditures could be either because of debts, well, sorry, these unexpected expenditures can increase the NATO's debts, or the unexpected expenditures could be because of the NATO being having medical illness resulting into hospitalization. So we don't know exactly what that unexpected expenditures could be, is because of what is will the NATO incur unexpected expenditures is still unknown at this point, but it would be either due to the deaths or medical illness. So one of these two, especially during this November 2022 till April 2023. And then April 2023 till September of 2023, we don't need to worry because it's the Jupiter Mahadasa. Yeah, whatever it is, it still goes on the same way. The crucial part is 2023 September till 2024 March. That will be the NATO will be still going through the second phase of SadeShani, and exactly during that time it's the Venus Mahadasa, Rahu Antardasa, and Saturn Pratyantar Dasa. And these three are very, very, very important for this particular period. This period is extremely important for this particular NATO. So whatever happened during the Rahu Pratyantar Dasa, that means between 2022 November and 2023 April, whatever the event has got initiated, the outcome of that event is what the NATO will see from 2023 September till 2024 March. And that is the most toughest part this particular NATO will go through in his SadeShani. Only this is the second phase of SadeShani. I'm not talking about the last phase of SadeShani. Remember, this is only the second phase of SadeShani. The NATO will be going through the tough period from 2022 November all the way till 2023 April, and again 2023 September till 2024 March. Before I go ahead and predict what will be the NATO's career, or with respect to their career, how will it be for the year 2022, the first and the foremost I want to start is to highlight the current SadeShani period that the NATO is going through. The SadeShani period began for this particular NATO as soon as Transit Saturn entered Capricorn, that is in December 2019. That is December of 2019, Transit Saturn entered Capricorn and his SadeShani period began. And now let's go and see. Even before entering December 2019, actually I should say that when Transit Saturn entered Sagittarius and touched cojoin with natal Venus in February of 2017. Remember, Venus Mahadasa is running, and fifth house is arts and entertainment, and the Lord is Jupiter for the fifth house. So Transit Saturn, when it entered Sagittarius in 2017, February 2017, that is when actually the NATO started noticing issues in his career, home life environment, and financial problems. So that is exactly when the NATO started noticing it, but it got amplified once the SadeShani began in 2019 December. Also, when Transit Saturn was in Sagittarius between February 2017 till December of 2019, during the 2.5 years period, Transit Saturn's third aspect is on Natal Moon and Natal Saturn, which is the first house from Chandra Lagna and the seventh house from Rashi Lagna. And the moon is from Rashi Lagna. Moon is the sixth house lord, that is deaths, illnesses, and employment conditions. And from Rashi Lagna, Saturn is the sixth and seventh house lords. So you can clearly say that starting February of 2017 till December of 2019, the NATO will be going through a lot of unpredictable events that are directly related to employment conditions, debts, and illnesses. So we don't know what exactly happened, and keep that aside. The next thing is the SadeShani. As soon as the SadeShani began in December 2019, because of the COVID that has started exactly at the same time, the NATO had some, like everybody else, his career was in a dilemma the whole year 2020, and of course even in 2021 too. Even in 2021, Transit Saturn is still there. That means his SadeShani, first phase of SadeShani is still going on, even as we are as of November 2021. Let me go and see, like, when the SadeShani began in Bihuru Chakra Paddhati, how is it? Who is the cycle ruler at that point when the SadeShani began? Remember, in Vimsottari Mahadasa, it is the Venus Mahadasa is running, and Mars Antardasa started somewhere in 2020, I think. I have to check it out. Okay, now if you look at the Bihuru Chakra Paddhati, when the SadeShani began in December 2019, the native was 54 years old, or sorry, 54th birthday is completed. So I should say it as 54 years old or 55 years old, one of those two. And Mars is the cycle ruler. And as soon as it started, the very first thing that it showed is that it's going to have an impact on the 7th house. 7th house from Rashi Lagna and the 7th house from wherever Mars is residing. Let's start with it. From 7th house from Rashi Lagna is nothing but the Moon and Saturn, where they are residing. And it's a SadeShani, so the impact has to be extremely high. No need to give any explanations. And then Mars is in the 4th house from Rashi Lagna. From there, the 7th house is the 10th house from Rashi Lagna. And the 4th house from Chandra Lagna, where Transit Rahu, Natal Rahu is residing. So the impact got further amplified. It's not only that the impact of the SadeShani got further amplified, and unpredictable events also happened in the native's life that has a direct impact on career, because that's the 10th house from destiny, and home life environment, because that's the 4th house from Chandra Lagna, means like disturbances in his mind with respect to home life environment. And the 10th house from Chandra Lagna is again where Mars is residing, and which is again the 4th house from Rashi Lagna. So if you look at it, whether you look from the Rashi Lagna or the Chandra Lagna, as soon as the SadeShani period began in December of 2019, the immediate impact the native saw is with respect to his career and instability or mental disturbances with respect to his home life environment. And then comes the next phase. October 2020 till October of 2021, Mars is the 8th house, will activate the 8th house from its natal position, which is the 11th house, Labhasthanamo from Rashi Lagna, and the 5th house from Chandra Lagna. This is very important. The 5th house deals with arts and entertainment. 5th house deals with progeny, children, and 5th house deals with father. This particular native, when the Mars has activated the 8th house from its natal position, which is the 5th house from Chandra Lagna and the 11th house from Rashi Lagna, exactly at the end of this period, that is before 27th October 2021, if you notice it, see, before 27th October 2021, the native had a lot of issues with respect to his son, children, and I don't know what type of financial losses the native had it, and we don't know how much of mental stress the native has gone through with respect to home life environment. According to the media, the native sun was released on 28th October 2021. That's exactly when Mars impacting on the 8th house from its natal position and 8th house from Rashi Lagna are all completed. And then comes Mars doing the 9th house. This is another thing that we have to keep in mind. From Rashi Lagna, the 9th house, Lord himself is Mars. 9th house is Bhagyasthanamo and Dharmasthanamo. And Mars being Bhagyasthanadipati and Dharmasthanadipati indicates that there will be some sort of aggressive decisions the native will be making with respect to Bhagyasthanamo, wealth, Dharmasthanamo, ethics. And then when Mars activates the 9th house from its natal position, which is the 12th house from Rashi Lagna, Moon is the Lord for the 12th house, and already Moon is cojoined with natal Saturn, and already Mars 4th aspect, natal Mars 4th aspect is already on natal Moon. So when it activates the 9th house from 28th of October 2021 all the way till October 27th of 2022, that 1 year, this 1 year, this particular native, remember he's going through the SadeShani phase 1, still going through the SadeShani phase 1, and now with Mars, according to Behurul Chakra Paddhati, with Mars activating the 9th house, the Bhagyasthanamu and the Dharmasthanamu will be extremely unpredictable, and the native might take some risky steps, decisions, not steps, I should say, it has some risky decisions. These decisions will be directly related to ethics, which is Dharmasthanamu, and wealth, which is Bhagyasthanamu. And then if you look at it, another most important thing that you have to look here is what can happen by October 2022. Still, Transit Saturn is still going to be there in the same Capricorn in all the way till, if I remember, till December of 2022. Transit Saturn is still going to be there in Capricorn. So when Mars activates the 10th house, that is when you can see a major impact in the native's career, which is highly surprising, because Transit Rahu by then will be moving to the 9th house, Dharmasthanamu and Bhagyasthanamu, which is Aries, and Mars owns it. So Transit Rahu is in the house owned by Mars. Mars is activating the 10th house from Rashi Lagna and the 10th house from its natal position. If you look at the 10th house from natal position, it is the Lagna, first house from the Lagna, the first house itself. And if you look the 10th house from Rashi Lagna, it is the house where natal Rahu is residing, and Venus owns it, and Venus Mahadasa is running at that time. And I think Mars Antardasa will be done by that, but the impact will be extremely unpredictable and unexpected, and that would be directly related to natives what you call career. So let me wait all the way till October of 2023 and see what exactly has happened for this particular native between October 2022 and October 2023. But for sure, by October of 2022, this natives will be encountering a lot of instability with respect to his wealth. Let me start analyzing the year 2022, the transit planets for this particular native. First and the foremost is, until February of 2022, there are no major things to worry about. For the native, yes, there are issues until December of 2021 because of the Vimsottari dasas and Rahu, Pratyantar dasa, and then January and probably partially February also will be quiet for this particular native. But remember, there's the old saying, quiet before the storm, calm before the storm. So that 2 months, January and February, will be quiet for this particular native. That means there's a big storm in his life that is going to come. And that's what I'm going to talk about now. Starting February 2022 all the way till 4th of July, February 2022, Transit Mars is going to cojoin with Transit Saturn in Capricorn, which is the 12th house from Natal Moon. Remember, the native is already going through the SadeShani first phase with Transit Saturn residing in Capricorn, and during that time Transit Mars is going to co-join with Transit Saturn in the 12th house. That's the very first thing that he needs to be worried about. Actually, one more thing, before the February of 2022, in January, Transit Sun is going to be in Capricorn, that is during the Makara Sankranti, and Sun is being the Lagnadipati for this particular native, residing, co-joining with the 12th house lord, and that too during the SadeShani period. The native will see some sort of I should say it as unexpected expenditures, because that is the 12th house, and some sort of events that might result into hospitalizations or health related stuff during when Transit Sun is in Capricorn, cojoin with Transit Saturn. That will be in the month of between 15th of January till 20th of February. So while the native is like coping up with that one, then the Transit Mars enters Transit Saturn and co-joins with Transit Saturn in Capricorn when it entered Capricorn, And then because of this SadeShani period, the impact whatever the transit sun has created in February, if the native has not noticed it, it will be highly noticeable during this period, that is from February of 2022 to all the way till July of 2022. And this impact will be directly visible with respect to his career and his home life environment. So overall, in year 2022, just like in whatever the impact that the native has seen in 2021 has only related to his career and his financial situations, but whereas in 2022 it will be related to his career, his financial situations, and then added with the home life environment, uncertainty in home life environment. That's what we have to see here. And from April 29th April all the way till 17th of May, Transit Mars and Transit Saturn will be in Aquarius. Remember, Transit Saturn moves to the next house Aquarius in somewhere in 29th of April, and then retrogrades and comes back to Capricorn somewhere in the month of May. So that April-May, that is approximately 30 to 45 days, Transit Saturn will be in Capricorn. When Transit Saturn is in Capricorn, for this particular native, it is cojoining with Natal Moon and Natal Saturn. And that means the native is going to have a preview of how his SadeShani phase 2 will be. He's going to have a preview for 45 days. It's like a teaser in the film industry, not a trailer, a teaser. It's a teaser for this particular native. And when it stays there, this is the thing is, when it stays there, this short period of 45 days, the native will be encountering unbearable mental stress, agony, frustration, because both transit and natal Saturn are cojoined with natal moon. And it is the second phase of anybody who is going through the second phase of moon SadeShani will be encountering mental agony, mental stress, frustrations, and some sort of a decisions making out of jazbadi, means instantaneously, without even giving enough thought and without even getting any suggestions from their well-wishers. Jazbadi, that's what they say in Hindi. So that's something that can happen during this 45-day period. Then from 17th May till 26th of June, Transit Mars will now co-join with Transit Jupiter in Pisces. Remember, Transit Mars is in Aquarius, and from there it goes to Pisces. And when Transit Mars goes to Pisces, Transit Saturn comes back to Capricorn. So Transit Saturn's third aspect will be on Pisces. That's where Transit Mars is going to reside. And while Transit Mars is going to reside there, Transit Jupiter will also be entering Pisces at the same time. That means the second house lord, who is Jupiter, is going to be in the second house. Jupiter, number one, it is cojoined with Mars, the violent and aggressive planet, number two. And the third thing is Transit Saturn's third aspect is now on both Transit Mars and Transit Jupiter, and the native is going through the SadeShani. So those who knows astrology can clearly tell how complicated the situation will be for this particular native from 17th May till 26th of June. And this impact is directly something related to the second house. Second house deals with Kutumbasthanamo and Dhanasthanamo. So let's wait and see. And the next one is from 26th June all the way till 10th of August. Transit Mars is going to enter Aries, its own house, which is the third house from Natal Moon and the ninth house from the destiny. And exactly during that time, Transit Rahu will be leaving Taurus and entering Aries. So Transit Rahu and Transit Mars are both co-joined in Aries, which is the third house from Natal Moon. But if you look at it, it is having a direct aspect on the ninth house from Natal Moon, which is the Bhagyasthanama and Dharmasthanama. So when you look from the destiny, Aries is again the ninth house. So whether the impact will be something that is related to the ninth house, and first of all, something that the native's decisions are, because of native's decisions, the impact will be something related to the ninth house. And since the destiny is also looking at the that from the destiny also it is the same 9th house, that impact will be permanent for this particular native. So what is exactly is that it's something dealing with bhagyasthanamo and something dealing with dharmasthanamo. So what exactly it is something that we have to wait and look for, wait and see what exactly is going to happen, especially with Rahu, transit Rahu entering the 9th house and cojoining with transit Mars. Everything is unpredictable. Remember, when transit Rahu, Pratyantar started on October 2nd, according to Vimsottari dasa, Venus Mahadasa, Mars Antardasa, and transit Pratyantar dasa started on October 2nd, and we all knew what happened. The unpredictable event that happened in this native's life is, we all knew it. It was his son who got caught and being arrested. So this transit Rahu, whatever it does, it's completely unpredictable. But only thing that we can try to say is that that has some direct relationship with respective to home life and with respect to bhagyasthanamo and dharmasthanamo. Finally, let me conclude this particular presentation with some highlights. In the year 2022, the first and the foremost thing that the native will be seeing is a number of challenges related to his career. And as I said in my introduction, the movie Pathan, which is supposed to be released in December of 2022. So that is during this SadeShani period, and with so many transit planets having such a major impact on some of the important houses, the chances for this particular native to move forward of releasing that particular movie is close to zero. And if it does it, like I said earlier, it would be having a major impact on his bhagyasthanamo, which is his earnings and wealth. And that is in the year 2022, December of 2020, until December of 2022. And because of this SadeShani and these transit planets movements, there will be a lot of unpredictable challenges with respect to his career, and a number of unpredictable events within his home life environment. And whatever those unpredictable events are, or whatever those challenges in his career are, the direct impact will always be noticed with respect to bhagyasthanamo, which is, I should say, has his wealth or his earnings, either of one. Overall, one thing is clear, that whoever the native is, when the native is going through SadeShani, the native has to go through it, and nobody can override the impact of Saturn. And this SadeShani period is the one which will teach every native what is the importance of hard work and the pains that people go through. The natives will have a first-hand experience, and it's like a sort of a lesson that Saturn is teaching every human during the SadeShani period. Is there are certain things that every human has to go through it, of which pain is one. Pain in the sense of the financial pain, the psychological pain, the social pain within the social environment, and the pain with respect to home life environment. I'm hoping that whatever the pain this particular native will go through in the year 2022 will be minimal, and God bless him.
Disclaimer. Last updated, May 29, 2020. Interpretation and definitions. Interpretation. The words of which the initial letter is capitalized have meanings defined under the following conditions. The following definitions shall have the same meaning regardless of whether they appear in singular or in plural. Definitions. For the purposes of this disclaimer, company, referred to as either the company, we, us or are in this cookie's policy, refers to Astrological astrological series. You means the individual accessing the service, or the company, or other legal entity on behalf of which such individual is accessing or using the service, as applicable. Application means the software program provided by the company downloaded by you on any electronic device named Astrological Astrological series. Service refers to the application. Disclaimer. The information contained on the service is for general information purposes only. The company assumes no responsibility for errors or omissions in the contents of the service. In no event shall the company be liable for any special, direct, indirect, consequential, or incidental damages or any damages whatsoever, whether in an action of contract, negligence or other tort, arising out of or in connection with the use of the service or the contents of the service. The company reserves the right to make additions, deletions, or modifications to the contents on the service at any time without prior notice. This disclaimer has been created with the help of the disclaimer generator. The company does not warrant that the service is free of viruses or other harmful components. External links disclaimer. The service may contain links to external websites that are not provided or maintained by or in any way affiliated with the company. Please note that the company does not guarantee the accuracy, relevance, timeliness, or completeness of any information on these external websites. Errors and omissions disclaimer. The information given by the service is for general guidance on matters of interest only. Even if the company takes every precaution to ensure the content of the service is both current and accurate, errors can occur. Plus, given the changing nature of laws, rules and regulations, there may be delays, omissions or inaccuracies in the information contained on the service. The company is not responsible for any errors or omissions, or for the results obtained from the use of this information. Fair use disclaimer. The company may use copyrighted material which has not always been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. The company is making such material available for criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research. The company believes this constitutes a fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided for in Section 107 of the United States Copyright Law. If you wish to use copyrighted material from the service for your own purposes that go beyond fair use, you must obtain permission from the copyright owner. Views expressed disclaimer. The service may contain views and opinions which are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other author, agency, organization, employer or company, including the company. Comments published by users are their sole responsibility and the users will take full responsibility, liability and blame for any libel or litigation that results from something written in or as a direct result of something written in a comment. The company is not liable for any comment published by users and reserve the right to delete any comment for any reason whatsoever. No responsibility disclaimer. The information on the service is provided with the understanding that the company is not herein engaged in rendering legal, accounting, tax, or other professional advice and services. As such, it should not be used as a substitute for consultation with professional accounting, tax, legal or other competent advisors. In no event shall the company or its suppliers be liable for any special, incidental, indirect, or consequential damages whatsoever arising out of or in connection with your access or use or inability to access or use the service. Use at your own risk disclaimer. All information in the service is provided as is, with no guarantee of completeness, accuracy, timeliness or of the results obtained from the use of this information, and without warranty of any kind, express or implied, including, but not limited to warranties of performance, merchantability and fitness for a particular purpose. The company will not be liable to you or anyone else for any decision made or action taken in reliance on the information given by the service or for any consequential, special or similar damages, even if advised of the possibility of such damages. Contact us. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, you can contact us by email, jukra@gmail.com.